Unbreakable bonds. From a young age, I was always the one who thrived on sparring verbally, eager to win any debate thrown my way. It didn't matter what the topic was, the true competition lay in the thrill of besting my opponent. However, my perspective shifted when I entered my studies as a political science major at Ashton University. Winning arguments felt less like a victory and more like a fleeting privilege as I delved deeper into the nuances of advocacy and human rights. As light filtered through the curtains of our small dorm, I groaned when my roommate, Alex, jumped onto my bed. Still half asleep, I blinked at him with a mixture of annoyance and amusement. Alex's mischievous grin widened as he rested his hand on my knee. I shook my head, trying to wake up fully. "Did you finish our presentation outline?" he asked cheerfully. "I've got a few more points to add," I replied, my voice thick with sleep. Alex nodded, his gaze darting to the door as his foot tapped impatiently. "Want some breakfast?" "I made oatmeal, it's still hot," he offered. "Absolutely. I held out for your cooking." I laughed and sat up, eager to see what he'd concocted. As I shuffled into the small kitchen area, the chatter and laughter of our friends echoed from the common room. A flicker of warmth filled my heart as I caught sight of Lucas and Emily lounging about with Ryan, surrounded by a sea of cushions. "Jamie, come grab some oatmeal," Ryan called out, waving a spoon in my direction. "On it," I called back, swiping a bowl and scooping a generous portion of the steaming oats. Plopping next to Lucas, I dug in while the conversation flowed around us. "Did you hear about the drama with MIA last night?" Emily started, leaning in closer. "What happened?" I asked, intrigued. Apparently, Emily lowered her voice. She was seen with another girl in a pretty heated make-out session. "And?" I questioned, raising an eyebrow. "What's the issue with that?" Lucas snorted. "Some people just don't get that love is love." Emily rolled her eyes, but before she could say more, Catherine entered. She placed her hands on her hips dramatically, her expression a mix of disbelief and disdain. "Two girls kissing. That just seems so wrong," she declared, her tone dripping with judgment. "What's wrong with it?" "Love is love, no matter who it's between," I challenged, my voice steady. Catherine glared, crossing her arms. "Two girls making out is just weird. It goes against everything. Last I checked, I'm a proud member of the LGBTQ+ community, and I'm not weird," I retorted. The tension in the room thickened. Catherine's face went pale as if she'd just been struck. "You? One of those people," she sputtered, her disbelief apparent. "I didn't know I was friends with her." Before she could finish, she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. A heavy silence fell upon us. "Give her time to process," Ryan suggested softly. "That's easy for her to say, she probably wanted to hurl slurs," I replied bitterly. Emily was visibly shaken, tears welling up in her eyes. "We all find it tough sometimes," she admitted, her voice trembling. In the midst of the discussion, the weight of rejection hung heavily on all of us, and before long, we were caught in an emotional whirlwind. After what felt like an eternity of sharing our fears and feelings, Chasey interrupted, pulling us back to reality. "Okay, we've got class soon. Jamie, you ready?" I nodded and grabbed my backpack. The rush to class brought some comfort as we ran across campus, the echo of our footsteps matching the rhythm of our heartbeats. As we settled into our seats, Professor Miller entered, the weight of his presence filling the room. "I have some serious news," his voice cut through the chatter. "Today, we'll be discussing recent events involving our student body." A hush fell, followed by an unexpected turn. "MIA has been expelled," he announced, eliciting gasps. "I want any students willing to fight this injustice to come forward. Jamie Watson, congratulations on your excellent work in class and your understanding of our rights." A mix of surprise and dread coursed through me. What is this about? I thought, my heart racing. Any student who represents the case against the administration successfully may earn their degree early. This includes you, Jamie, he said, locking eyes with me knowingly. Sir, with all due respect, I said, my voice wavering slightly. Don't you think the school would hold that against me? That's precisely why you're needed, he replied firmly. We need advocacy from within our ranks. Can I count on you? Taking a breath, I realized the weight of the moment. I'll think about it, I said, overwhelmed. As class ended, I shuffled back to the dorm. Alex looked up from his desk, barely glancing my way. Hey, you all right? He asked, sensing the tension I carried. I'm not sure. I pulled my notebooks from my backpack and collapsed onto my bed. What happened? He pressed gently, his concern evident. I've been asked to represent MIA against the school's decision, I confessed. They expelled her for being herself. Why wouldn't you take the case? He wondered aloud. Because it's risking my standing here, and we both know how intense this environment can be, I murmured, fighting to keep my emotions in check. But don't you want to be a lawyer? This could be your chance, he insisted. I do. But I don't want to jeopardize my place here, I said, the fear gripping me. Take the risk, Jamie. You owe it to yourself and to MIA, Alex encouraged. I felt the weight of his words settle in my heart. I'll write to him, I resolved, a flicker of determination lighting within me. Little did I know, this decision would spark the beginning of my journey as a steadfast advocate for LGBTQ+ rights in our community, an ally to those whose voices needed strength, paving the way for future generations. In the days that followed, I found myself engulfed in a whirlwind of preparations. After sending my email to Professor Miller, I felt an exhilarating mix of anxiety and determination. My friends rallied around me, providing support and encouragement. Alex spent hours with me, brainstorming strategies and gathering research on the case against the school. MIA deserves justice, and you deserve this opportunity, Alex reiterated as we sat on the floor of our dorm room, surrounded by notes, textbooks, and empty coffee mugs. This isn't just about you, it's about standing up for what's right. As I dove deeper into the specifics of the case, I discovered more about the circumstances surrounding Mia's expulsion. Rumors had spiraled out of control, one person's speculation morphing into a widespread belief that she'd crossed lines she hadn't. The more I learned, the angrier I became. This was more than an isolated incident, it was a symptom of the toxic culture that still pervaded our campus. The night before my official meeting with the college's administration, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, thoughts racing, contemplating the gravity of what lay ahead. What if I fail, pressed against my mind. But then I remembered Catherine's reaction and the shame that followed. It ignited fire in me. I could not back down. Not now. The next morning, I pulled myself out of bed, dressed in my best ensemble, a crisp white shirt and a blazer, hoping it would convey my seriousness while also asserting my identity. Alex almost beamed when he saw me, giving me a reassuring nod. You look like a lawyer already, he said, his admiration soothing my nerves. Let's just hope I can act like one, I replied, forcing a smile. Together, we made our way to the administration building. The air felt electric with anticipation as we entered the meeting room, where Professor Miller and the school's panel were already seated. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and I could feel my pulse quicken. Thank you for being here, Jamie, Professor Miller said as we all took our seats. The panel introduced themselves, and I observed them carefully, stoic faces, tightly crossed arms. They were formidable but not unbeatable. We're here to discuss the allegations against MIA Turner, the head of the panel announced, and I nodded, feeling the weight of their gazes upon me. I launched into my opening statement, remembering the countless hours of preparation and the reasons that compelled me to take this stand. I presented the statistics surrounding LGBTQ+ students and the discrimination they faced, making it clear how Mia's case was not an isolated incident but instead part of a much larger narrative. The words flowed out of me like a fervent river, each one underscoring the importance of inclusion and acceptance. When I finished, silence hung in the air. The panel exchanged glances, perhaps taken aback by my passion or the truths I had laid bare. Finally, one of them spoke. "Jamie, do you have any evidence that supports your claims? Any witnesses?" I took a deep breath, remembering the supportive teammates in my life. "Yes," I replied firmly. "There are several students, along with faculty, who have witnessed the discriminatory treatment MIA and other LGBTQ+ students have faced." At that moment, the door swung open, and Lucas entered, followed by Emily and a few other friends who had come to support me. Strong allies standing shoulder to shoulder, a living testament to the community we built. "Sorry we're late," Lucas said, flashing a brave smile. "We thought you could use some backup." The panel members seemed startled by our collective presence. I felt empowered. I explained the situation further, gathering momentum as I cited witnesses who would attest to the hostile environment. "This isn't merely about MIA," I emphasized. "This is about the future of our university, a future that should support every single student, regardless of who they are." As I pointed out the long-lasting impact this expulsion could have not just on MIA but on future students, one panel member leaned forward, clearly engaged now. "What do you propose?" she asked, her tone shifting towards something more receptive. I had envisioned this moment, and with a surge of confidence, I proposed that rather than expulsion, MIA be given a chance to explain herself, to share our side of the story. Moreover, I insisted on implementing education programs around LGBTQ+ issues for both students and faculty, aimed at fostering a culture of understanding and respect. After what felt like hours of discussion, it became clear that the panel was deliberating the proposals. "We'll take your points into consideration and aim to make a decision shortly," the head member said, and we all left the room with a mix of trepidation and hope. Outside, my friends enveloped me in a group hug, cheering me on. "You were amazing," Alex exclaimed, his eyes shining with pride. "I can't believe we just did that," I laughed, the exhilaration spilling out of me. The next week, the ruling came. The panel decided to reinstate MIA and offered programs aimed at creating inclusivity on campus. It was a victory that echoed through the halls of Ashton University, a win not just for MIA but for every student who felt marginalized. That day, as I walked with my friends, the sunlight catching the vibrant colors of our surroundings, I realized how much I had grown. I was no longer just the girl who loved to win arguments. I had become an advocate, a voice for the unheard. As graduation approached, I knew I was on a path that would allow me to continue this work. And while challenges lay ahead, I felt grounded in the support of my friends and the community I had helped foster. I was ready for whatever came next because I was fundamentally more than just Jamie. I was a proud queer lawyer in the making, dedicated to protecting the rights and dignity of others. The journey was just beginning. As graduation day drew closer, a palpable sense of excitement and anxiety filled the air. In the weeks following the panel's decision, I had thrown myself into preparations for my speeches, projects, and the intricate logistics of an upcoming career in law. The initial victory for MIA became a catalyst, sparking action among other students. Support groups were formed, awareness campaigns took flight, and a ripple of change began to take shape at Ashton University. Alex, Lucas, Emily, and I would often gather in our favorite coffee shop, discussing our plans and brainstorming ways to amplify our message. We drafted a proposal for a community outreach program that would bridge the gap between LGBTQ+ advocacy and the administration, hoping to foster dialogue and understanding. At one of these meetings, Alex leaned back in his chair, a contemplative expression crossing his face. "You know, Jamie, you could turn this momentum into something bigger. You should consider organizing a symposium, bring in speakers, panels, and workshops to educate about LGBTQ+ rights and representation." I smiled, the idea taking root in my mind. "That's brilliant. We could invite alumni who have gone on to become advocates in legal, political, and health fields." Over the next few weeks, we poured our hearts into planning the event. We reached out to organizations, alumni, and activists to create a lineup that would inspire. Day by day, our dream shifted from idea to action, transcending our small group into something impactful. As graduation dawned, I stood before the mirror in my rented cap and gown, reflecting on everything that had happened. The girl who once feared failure was now brimming with hope, standing taller with each challenge overcome. My heart raced with anticipation as I prepared to give the keynote speech at the ceremony as one of the student representatives. The arena buzzed with energy, family members and friends filling the seats, capturing every moment on their phones. As I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage, I caught sight of Alex, Lucas, and Emily beaming from the audience. My nerves melted into determination. "Today, we celebrate our achievements, our friendships, and the power of unity," I began, my voice steady and clear. "As graduates of Ashton University, we carry with us not just our diplomas but also a responsibility to advocate for justice, to seek truth, and to stand up for those who may not have a voice." As I spoke about the importance of diversity and inclusion, I recounted the journey I had taken alongside MIA and how standing up for her had ignited a fire in me, a fire that would continue to advocate for others. I felt the crowd's energy shift as they absorbed my words, some of them nodding in agreement. "We are the architects of the world we wish to see," I declared passionately. "Let us challenge the status quo and break down barriers. Whether you become a lawyer, an activist, a teacher, or an artist, know that your voice matters, your actions can create ripples of change." As I concluded my speech, the applause erupted in waves, a sound so reassuring it washed over me like an ocean tide. I stepped down, exhilarated. Graduation was just the beginning, a launchpad into a world of possibilities. After the ceremony, I mingled with friends amidst the celebration and hugs. MIA had joined us, her presence thick with gratitude. "You've inspired more than just me, Jamie," she said, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. "You've helped create a community I'm proud to be part of." Soon after, the planning for our symposium began in earnest. With every passing day, our excitement grew as we prepared to welcome speakers who were trailblazers in advocacy and law. Alumni returned, sharing stories of their journeys and offering mentorship. Each connection forged solidified the importance of our collective effort. The day of the symposium arrived, alive with anticipation. Banners adorned the campus, colorful decorations lit up the hallways, and our chosen speakers filled the stage with tales of tenacity and hope. Various sessions catered to the attendees' interests, from legal workshops on LGBTQ+ rights to discussions about mental health and representation in media. As I moderated one of the panels, I looked out at the audience, a tapestry of students, faculty, and community members, all engaged and ready to learn. Among them, I spotted a few familiar faces. Catherine had come, sitting quietly with an open mind. My heart swelled with pride. This was why we fought, to bring people together, to create understanding. Before the event concluded, I stood before the crowd, my heart racing with gratitude. "Thank you all for being part of this moment," I said, emotion catching in my throat. "We've taken a step forward together, and I believe we can continue to grow this community. Let's keep the conversation going, let's keep supporting each other, and let's keep advocating for change." The applause echoed, and as the event wrapped up, conversations flowed like an unstoppable current. I felt fulfilled, a hope kindled in each participant, a shared commitment to championing justice. Months later, I found myself at a local LGBTQ+ advocacy center where I'd begun an internship while also applying to law schools. Among the tasks I undertook, helping with legal clinics and outreach efforts, I often reflected on my journey, from that little girl obsessed with winning debates to a young woman passionate about fighting for the rights of others. One day, as I was preparing materials for a workshop, a young student approached me, visibly anxious. "I heard your story, about how you helped MIA," she said quietly. "I've been afraid to come out. I don't know if I'm strong enough." I knelt down to her level, lifting her chin gently. "I promise you, you are stronger than you think. It can be scary, but finding your voice is the most powerful thing you can do. There is a community waiting to support you, just as I found mine." Her eyes began to shimmer with determination. I knew that I was now part of her journey, just as others had been part of mine. As my time at the center unfolded, I witnessed countless stories, reaffirming my purpose, to assist those struggling to find acceptance in their identities, to offer legal guidance, and to nurture unwavering support. Every step I took was towards a future where love triumphed over fear, where acceptance flourished, and where every person felt seen. And though new challenges would undoubtedly arise, I stood confident, ready to embrace them. Each morning, I reminded myself of my journey. What started as a quest for victory transformed into a lifelong commitment to justice and equality. My voice, amplified by the support of friends, family, and allies, resonated through every corner of my community. Together, we would dismantle barriers, forge connections, and continue to champion the rights of all marginalized individuals. With every case I took on, every workshop I hosted, and every story I heard, I realized that legal advocacy was just one piece of a greater puzzle, the enduring quest for love, acceptance, and unbreakable bonds in every corner of the world. It was a mission that would propel me forward for years to come, an adventure that was far from over.